My beloved child, pause here for a moment, because what you are about to hear was meant to reach you before doubt could persuade you to keep scrolling. Something tender is moving beneath the surface of your life right now. Someone you love is thinking about you with an intensity they have not been able to explain, and deep within their heart, a quiet desire has begun to grow. They do not simply want to speak to you. They do not merely want to send a message or hear your voice for a few passing minutes. They want to spend a special moment with you, a moment that feels different from all the ordinary moments that came before it. And even as you listen, their thoughts are returning to you again. Do not rush away from these words, because there is more happening than you can see. Heaven has been watching the way this person carries your memory. They may continue with their responsibilities, answer others, smile when expected, and move through the day as though everything is normal, but there are moments when the noise around them disappears. In those moments, it is your face that comes into their mind. It is your voice that echoes in the quiet. It is the feeling they experienced around you that rises without warning and makes them wonder whether you can somehow sense them thinking of you. There is a reason this message found you now. Recently, this person experienced a small moment that awakened something much larger inside them. It may have been a song, a familiar place, a passing conversation, a scent in the air, or a memory they had tried not to revisit. Whatever it was, it carried them back to you so quickly that for a few seconds they forgot where they were. They remembered not only what happened between you, but what they felt when they were near you. And that feeling has remained with them longer than they expected. They are beginning to understand that what they miss is not simply your presence. They miss the version of themselves that appeared when you were close. Around you, something in them felt softer. Something felt understood without needing to be explained. They may not have recognized the value of that feeling at first. They may have assumed they could find it elsewhere, recreate it in another environment, or silence it by keeping themselves occupied. But the heart has its own way of revealing what the mind tries to dismiss. Stay with me, because the special moment they are imagining is more meaningful than you think. In their mind, it is not surrounded by crowds or noise. It is not something designed to impress others. They imagine a moment where the two of you can finally slow down and be honest. Perhaps you are sitting somewhere peaceful as evening settles around you. Perhaps there is soft laughter at first, followed by a silence that feels safe rather than uncomfortable. Perhaps they look at you and realize they no longer want to hide behind vague words, delayed messages, or unfinished explanations. They have been imagining what it would feel like to have your full attention again. Not because they want control, but because there is something they have been carrying that cannot be expressed in fragments. They want enough time with you to speak without interruption. They want to watch your expression as they tell you what has been changing inside them. They want to know whether the warmth they remember still exists in your eyes. And there is one particular truth they keep rehearsing in their thoughts, though they have not yet found the courage to say it aloud. You may have felt a strange pull recently, a sudden wave of emotion that seemed to arrive without a clear reason. You may have thought of this person unexpectedly, dreamed of them, remembered a conversation, or felt a quiet ache that did not belong to the moment you were living. Do not be afraid of that feeling. In this fictional message of divine comfort, imagine heaven whispering that emotional connections often leave echoes, and sometimes those echoes become stronger when two hearts are quietly turning toward the same unfinished story. But there is something important you must understand. This person's longing is not simple. They are not only thinking about the beautiful parts. They are also remembering the moments when fear interfered, when pride created distance, or when they acted as though your connection mattered less than it truly did. They know there were things left unsaid. They know you may have questioned whether they cared. And now, while they imagine spending that special moment with you, they are also wondering whether they still deserve the chance. There was a time when they believed silence would protect them. They thought that if they kept their feelings hidden, they could avoid disappointment. They thought that if they remained difficult to read, they would remain safe. But silence did not bring peace. It only created questions. Distance did not erase the connection. It only made them more aware of what your presence had given them. And now the very walls they built are the walls they are trying to find a way through. Do not skip what comes next, because this is where the story begins to deepen. They recently pictured a specific moment with you so clearly that it surprised them. They imagined reaching a place where the two of you could speak freely, away from the expectations of everyone else. In that vision, they did not arrive with perfect words. They arrived nervous. Their hands were unsteady. Their heart was beating faster than they wanted you to notice. Yet when they saw you, something inside them became calm. In their imagination, you did not immediately ask difficult questions. You simply looked at them, and that look made all the sentences they had rehearsed feel inadequate. They realized that the truth was much simpler than every explanation they had prepared. They missed you. They valued you. They wanted to create a memory with you that was not shaped by confusion, timing, or fear. They wanted one honest moment in which neither of you had to pretend. This longing has become stronger because they sense that you are changing. They feel, perhaps without knowing how, that you are no longer standing in the same emotional place where they left you. You have been learning to protect your peace. You have been discovering that love should not require you to abandon your dignity. You have been becoming stronger, even through the nights when strength felt like nothing more than surviving until morning. And this person can feel that your energy is no longer waiting in the same way. That realization has stirred urgency inside them. They are beginning to understand that opportunities do not remain open forever simply because a connection was once powerful. A heart can love and still choose peace. A person can care and still move forward. You have not become cold. You have become aware. And your awareness is forcing them to confront the possibility that if they remain silent much longer, the special moment they desire may become a memory that never happened. Something huge is waiting beneath the next layer of this message. Their wish to spend time with you is connected to a decision they have been quietly considering. They have not shared this decision with many people, perhaps with no one at all. They are trying to determine the right way to approach you. They have thought about sending a simple message, but every simple message feels too small. They have considered waiting for a perfect sign, but they are beginning to realize that waiting has already cost them too much. There is a sentence they have typed and erased more than once. It may not be exactly the same each time, but the meaning remains. They want to ask whether you would be willing to meet, talk, or share a little time with them. Yet behind that invitation is a deeper question: is there still a place for me in your heart? They are afraid to ask it directly because your answer has the power to change the way they see everything. Their fear does not come from a lack of feeling. It comes from the seriousness of the feeling. Casual emotions do not create this kind of hesitation. When nothing important is at stake, words come easily. But when the heart knows it may be standing before a life-changing moment, even the simplest message can feel enormous. This person knows that once they reach out honestly, they will no longer be able to pretend that your connection was ordinary. You may wonder why they have taken so long. You may ask why someone who thinks of you so deeply would allow silence to continue. The answer is layered. Part of them was waiting to feel completely certain. Part of them was waiting for circumstances to become easier. Part of them hoped you would make the first move so they would not have to risk rejection. And part of them did not understand their own emotions until your absence forced them to listen. There are truths people only discover in quiet places. When the conversations end, when distractions lose their power, and when the day becomes still, the heart begins to speak. This person has heard your name in that inner stillness many times. Not as a sound, but as a feeling. A warmth followed by regret. A smile followed by longing. A memory followed by the question, what if I had been more honest? Heaven has seen the private moments when they almost reached for you. The moments when they opened your conversation, looked at an old photograph, revisited a memory, or imagined how you might respond if they suddenly appeared with sincerity instead of excuses. They have wondered whether you would be surprised. They have wondered whether you would be guarded. Most of all, they have wondered whether you might still feel the connection they have tried so hard to understand. But listen carefully, beloved child. This message is not asking you to chase anyone. It is not telling you to abandon wisdom for fantasy or to ignore the lessons your heart has learned. The strongest love does not require desperation. The truest connection does not demand that you diminish yourself. Your role is not to force the moment. Your role is to remain grounded enough to recognize sincerity if it arrives. There is power in allowing another person's actions to reveal what their words cannot. They may think of you every hour, but eventually thought must become intention, and intention must become action. You deserve more than hidden feelings. You deserve honesty that is willing to stand in the light. And perhaps this is why the moment they desire has not happened yet. Before it can unfold, something in them must become brave enough to meet the strength that has grown in you. Stay until the end, because the next revelation is the one they are most afraid for you to know. The special moment they imagine is not only about romance or affection. They want to explain why they pulled away, why they hesitated, or why their behavior may have seemed contradictory. They know that without this explanation, you might misunderstand everything they are preparing to say. Yet the explanation contains a truth that makes them feel exposed. At some point, they began to care more deeply than they intended. The connection stopped feeling light. Your opinion began to matter. Your absence began to affect them. The possibility of losing you began to frighten them. And instead of moving closer, they did what people sometimes do when emotion becomes too real: they stepped back. They told themselves it was temporary. They told themselves they needed clarity. But the distance only made one thing clearer: you had become important. They may have acted unaffected because they did not want you to see how much power your presence held. They may have responded slowly, spoken vaguely, or avoided conversations that could have brought the truth to the surface. None of this means you should excuse behavior that hurt you. But it reveals the conflict that has been unfolding inside them. They were not always running from you. In many ways, they were running from the version of themselves that loved without control. Now they are tired of running. They are tired of replaying imagined conversations. They are tired of pretending that another ordinary day can erase an extraordinary connection. They want to create one memory with you that feels clean, peaceful, and true. They want to sit across from you and let the silence say what they have been unable to communicate. They want to see whether time has changed the bond or simply revealed its depth. And there is a place connected to this desire. It may be somewhere the two of you once mentioned, somewhere familiar, or somewhere they believe would make you feel comfortable. They have pictured the atmosphere. They have imagined the time of day. They have even wondered what you might wear, how you might smile, and whether your eyes would reveal more than your words. This is not a passing thought. They have returned to this scene again and again. In one version of the moment, they bring something small. Not expensive, not dramatic, but meaningful. Something connected to a memory, a conversation, or a detail about you that you assumed they had forgotten. They want you to realize that they remember more than they ever admitted. They remember the way you described something you loved. They remember what made you laugh. They remember a small hope you once shared. The detail stayed with them because you stayed with them. Yet their deepest desire is not to impress you. It is to feel close to you without confusion. They imagine a moment when both of you stop analyzing every word and simply recognize the truth of what is present. They want to know what it would feel like to look at you without the protection of distance. They want to experience the peace of being understood again, even if only for one evening. There is a reason your heart has not completely forgotten them. It is not because you are weak. It is because certain connections become part of our emotional story, teaching us about longing, boundaries, forgiveness, timing, and self-worth. Whether this person returns as a lasting chapter or as a truth that brings closure, the moment carries meaning. And the most powerful part is that you do not need to know the ending in order to stand securely in who you have become. Right now, while you are hearing these words, imagine this person alone with their thoughts. Their surroundings are ordinary, but their inner world is not. They are replaying something you once said. They are wondering whether you meant more than they understood at the time. They are realizing that you may have offered them a kind of emotional safety they did not know how to receive. And now they want to return to that feeling, not to take from you, but to finally honor it. They are also thinking about your smile. Not the smile you give the world, but the one that appeared when you felt truly seen. That memory affects them more deeply than they admit. It reminds them of the possibility that existed between you. It reminds them that there was once a moment when everything felt simple. Before fear. Before distance. Before unanswered questions. Do not scroll away now, because the story is approaching the detail that changes everything. Their desire to spend this special moment with you intensified after they learned, or believed they learned, something about your life. They may have heard that you are moving forward. They may have noticed a change in your behavior. They may have seen something that suggested you are no longer emotionally available in the way you once were. Whether the information was accurate or not, it awakened a fear they could no longer ignore. For the first time, they pictured you creating beautiful memories with someone else. They pictured another person receiving the attention they once took for granted. They imagined someone else hearing your laughter, learning your quiet ways, and becoming the person you turn to at the end of the day. That image did not create anger. It created clarity. It showed them what your absence would truly mean. This is when their thoughts shifted from someday to soon. Someday had always felt safe. Someday allowed them to delay, avoid, and imagine that time was unlimited. But soon demands courage. Soon asks for a message to be sent, a plan to be made, or a truth to be spoken. And now they are standing between the comfort of silence and the possibility of a moment that could change both of you. You are not being asked to wait. Continue living. Continue growing. Continue allowing your life to become full and radiant. What belongs with you must be willing to meet you in motion, not expect you to remain frozen in an old chapter. But know this, your growth has not made you invisible to them. It has made your value impossible to ignore. They are thinking about how to begin. Should they speak casually and allow the deeper truth to emerge slowly? Should they be direct and risk overwhelming you? Should they acknowledge the silence first? Should they apologize? Should they tell you immediately that they have been thinking about you? Every option feels vulnerable. Yet beneath all the uncertainty, one desire remains steady: they want a real moment with you. There is another secret hidden inside that desire. They do not only want to tell you something. They want to ask you something. And the question is connected to a future they once refused to imagine. It is not necessarily a grand promise spoken too soon. It is something quieter, but perhaps more meaningful. They want to know whether the story between you is truly over, or whether there is still a doorway neither of you has closed. They have been searching for signs in your words, your silence, and the way you carry yourself. But they know they cannot build a future from guesses. Eventually, they must face you with honesty. Eventually, they must give you the freedom to answer without pressure. And this is the moment heaven is preparing. Not by controlling either of you, but by bringing hidden emotions into awareness. Beloved child, you have wondered whether you were remembered. You have questioned whether the connection meant the same thing to them. You have tried to make peace with uncertainty. This message does not claim to predict your reality. It invites you into a fictional spiritual story of hope, discernment, and emotional truth. And within that story, heaven says, you were not as easy to forget as they pretended. The moments you shared became part of their inner life. Your kindness returned to them on difficult days. Your words surfaced when they needed courage. Your absence revealed the space your presence once filled. They may not have understood your importance while you were near, but distance has become a teacher they can no longer ignore. Now the special moment they want is approaching a decision point. They have almost convinced themselves to reach out. They have imagined your response. They have prepared for hesitation. They have even accepted that you may not welcome them as easily as before. But there is one thing they have not prepared for, the possibility that when they finally see you, every hidden feeling will rise at once. And this is where the mystery deepens, because there is a reason they want this moment to happen at a particular time. Something is coming in their life, a change, a choice, a departure from an old pattern. And they feel they must speak with you before it unfolds. They do not want to carry an unfinished truth into what comes next. They do not want another season to pass with your name living only in silence. They have made a private promise to themselves. Before a certain moment arrives, they will try. They will send the message, make the call, or create the opportunity. They may still hesitate. They may still rewrite their words. But the decision is becoming stronger than the fear. And yet, there is one final detail they have kept hidden even from themselves. The special moment they are imagining is not the first time they have dreamed of being with you again. There was another moment, recent, vivid, and almost impossible for them to dismiss, when they saw you in a dream or powerful memory, standing before them as though no distance had ever existed. In that moment, you said something they could not forget. They woke with your words still echoing inside them. And what you said is the reason they now feel they can no longer remain silent.